We got done in probably the fastest that Shasta County has experienced in forever, because usually they're at 2, 3 in the morning. We didn't make my 11 o'clock. It didn't get done until 12 o'clock, basically because we don't have the things pre-sorted, and they actually didn't show up for the very first ballots to sort until up 10:40 at night. So we didn't have my 2-hour gap to get it done. We got done in less than 2 hours after we actually got them. So that was a good thing. Everyone worked great. The staff really put on the dog and did it right. We had a few issues with the telephone system, so it was kind of faltery a little bit, and apparently some of the poll workers didn't understand that if someone brings in their ballot and their envelope, they can go ahead and vote that way. They do not have to call in to do that. So they misunderstood that, so there was a lot of calls that weren't necessary. I was told the longest wait that we had was 22 minutes, which doesn't sound that bad. I think it's unacceptable. So we're gonna work on that and get that better, get more telephones, and get a little better on the process of explaining to people that you don't have to vote provisional if you're actually bringing in your ballot and your envelope. And you don't have to call anybody either. You can do it right there. So that didn't get done. Moving forward, everybody else was great. We had absolutely no incidents because there was some animosity with people fighting all the time and sometimes aggressiveness. We had none of that, not a single one. We didn't even have anybody yell out. Everybody was polite and nice, and I would like the people of Shasta County, I'd like to thank them for that, because they actually come together and we're a community. It wasn't this warring side. I think part of that is the fact that we now welcome the community. I mean, we build them a lounge, we give them chairs, we give them food. We're nice to them. We actually want them here. I actually want voters. And beyond that, we've taken away all the things that aggravates people. So you can actually see everything in our election. Every vote being counted, every process is open and free and available to everybody. Transparency out the wazoo. So everything is, pretty much everything I can show, I will show. And so we didn't have any of that. We also got rid of all the other little accoutrements that make it fail, such as the spiked walls that went down the floor before. Not necessarily friendly looking. Kind of destroys a friendly concept. So as you notice, that's gone. And we got rid of security guards. So before they had bunches of security standing around. We had none. And instead of battles and fights, we had nothing. Everybody's friendly, everybody got along. We had Democrats and Republicans working together, and Green Party, don't forget the Green Party, and working together on the arbitration in the back to actually agree on what the markings were. And it was actually a very good community experience without all of the constant battles that had gone on for years. We're also going to change the way we do the manual audit. Before, they were having a computer tell them which precincts they're going to count, and then they would prepare them, not in public comment, but prepare them, and then set them up and then count them that way. If you trust everybody and everybody's honest, that will work. We don't want you to trust us. We want you to check us. We want you to keep your eye on us and make sure we're doing it right. That is the key. So what we're doing, there are alternate methods that are allowed under section 20313 of the code, which gives us other methods besides having a computer run our lives. So we're using the old-fashioned method, which is ping pong balls. We'll put it in this. There'll be a precinct on each one. It'll be done next week, because you have to have 5 days notice for everything. And once we've done that, then we'll pull all the ballots out, find them on the spot, and get them counted right there in front of everybody. We'll have them help us count this thing, and we'll roll this down really quick. It'll be a 1% audit. There'll merely be a couple precincts or maybe more. If anyone wants to count more than that, remember, everything's online. You can count 100%. And that's about it. I'm glad you guys could come out and see me, and I look forward to continuing to serve you here in Shasta County.
Well, you were talking about how you had a bit of a small hiccup with the election process. This was your first real test with the new system. What is your guys' next steps?
Well, we're going to, first I had them collect the metrics, so I know when they started, when they stopped, how many calls were coming in, and I'm also working with the poll workers that made the calls to find out how many they were in line. One guy told me he was in line, he was 19th in line. 19th is not good. Basically more training. You know, I'll take it over and I'll actually, because I'm trying to run it more like a business so that we actually, you know, have metrics on how fast we're getting people served and how quick they are and all that kind of thing. They never did that before. So I'll find out what the metrics are and then we can correct for it. Shouldn't even be that tough. We may just have to throw more bodies at it and increase the procedure. But I don't want anybody waiting in line for nothing. I hate to wait in line. Don't you?
I do.
I
It's
do.
not my favorite thing. So after this process, what was your key takeaway from it, and where are you going to keep growing?
Well, the key takeaway is we still need a bigger building to do it perfectly. Because to do it perfectly, what we need to do, tired of holding it, what we need to do is we need to have enough systems, which would be about 10 more of those machines back there, so that we can do all of our processing of every ballot, mail-in and everything on election night. Nothing's opened early, nothing like that. So we'll be able to process that whole thing. And do the processing also in the precincts so that they can go in the precincts and do those initial stacks, because that really slows it down if it comes here and it's all these bundles that all have to be processed. Because then we have to process them before we send them through the machine.
Do you anticipate to face these same barriers when it comes to another election process?
It should be easier. I got a lot of resistance pushing this thing out. Seemed like everybody and their dog was dragging their feet. So now that we have it in the system and everybody knows that it works and it works well, then I think they'll be a little more able to handle it. The staff here worked through it. I mean, I know a lot of them started out going, that's crazy, that's too much work, I don't want to do it, but they still dug in and did it, and you've got to give them credit for that.
Those are the people who were kind of dragging their feet, like you said, and were pushing back against you. What do you want to say to them now that you believe that it was successful?
Well, I think they know it's successful. It didn't derail us, it didn't stop us, and we got it done. There was a contract issue where they were going really slow with the contract, so I lost the company that was going to help me with the cameras. So I didn't have to babysit the cameras. Because otherwise I have to babysit this and that. Anyway, but I got lucky and I hired a new guy, that guy right there. Come on up here. Come on up here. I hired this guy and we hired him as a grunt. Start level, you know. Goober, just to push out
Not
around.
gubernatorial.
Push stuff around, whatever it took, right? And then I come to find out he actually knows the stuff that I needed to know. He knew Droid Cam, he knew how to OBS, he knew how to hook all this stuff up, which is really lucky, because there's very few people in this whole country that knows that. The guy I was going to have come here was from Colorado, so there was nobody in California that I could find that knew it. So then I could stick it on him.
Have you been happy with the camera system, and what's the name of the camera system? Do you think it's a model that other counties should use?
Yes, I think the cameras worked excellent. We had a bog down with everything arriving late and then having to sort it, so we didn't get to use all 6 at one time because we had to use people over here to sort as well as people using on the cameras and to actually do the process. So we didn't have enough to fill out everything. If I would have filled out everything, I would need 24 people just for the processing and then probably another 20 to do the sorts. So since I didn't have that, since I had a total of about 19, we kind of had them cut in half and then just doing what we could do. And we still made incredible time. You know, once they were sorted, they just fly through. Did you watch any of the videos, anybody? If you did, you'll see that that thing is just zooming. Boom, 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 hand it off. And when he hands it off, he gets another one. So a lot of people say, well, that takes longer because you got to sort it, you got to scan it, you got to sort it. But it doesn't take longer because it's all happening at the same time. So it's all one process.
What was the name of the camera system?
We built it. So it wasn't a camera system. We've been using it forever. I use the A12 Samsung. The reason is it has a 44 megapixel system. It puts out about 18K, which we record, but when it goes into AV capture, they have to cut it down or otherwise you never see it on the internet. It'd go like this. You do that little You get the circle going the whole time. So they're cutting it down to something can be seen, probably a 720, maybe 28 at tops. OBS, of course, is free and does a good job. Android Cam is free and does a good job. So it's actually very inexpensive.
And then with your auditing system that you guys have, that are you going to be running, do you expect any hiccups with that or any barriers with resources?
That's pretty much what they've always done. They just kind of did everything behind doors, which is okay if you're honest, but people don't believe it. So you need to always show your work. It's like show your work. I'm not necessarily saying they would cheat the audit, but audits were cheated before. 2004, Cuyahoga County, same process. They said they had a computer pick the random numbers. Then they prepped all the ballots and they handed out and they had a perfect audit. Except the people who worked there started bragging, going into the bartenders and saying, yeah, we fixed that. We had to correct this and correct that and do all this, so we made it balanced. Well, a lot of them went to jail. But if they didn't say anything, you'd never be able to know the difference. And that's the problem. If you can pre-prepare your audit, you can fix your audit. So we don't do that. The audit will be real. However it comes out, but it will be real. And besides that, they can now audit it from the video anyway, so there's no point in playing it with our side. Anything else?
I think I'm good.
How about you, ma'am?
Good, thank you.
No more questions? That's it then. Thanks for coming.